How do you know what purchase price is good for a fix and flip property? Real estate investing with Alexis, episode 2. How do you know what purchase price is good for a fix and flip property? Extremely important. First, I want to mention that this is different for every investor. Every investor has different appetite and goals. It all comes down to how much money do you want to make profit on a transaction. For example, I might be a bit more aggressive than other investors. I came across investors that they're okay with making 30, 40,000 on a transaction, or just different numbers that are much lower. To me, for example, if I invest 100,000 into a property, I want to make at least 200,000 profit. So it is more difficult. I pass on a lot of properties. Some people are buying properties that I look at, I'm like, I don't know why you're doing it or how that makes sense to you. But again, every investor is different, has different goals. Now, the thing is, first come up with how much money do you want to make profit on that transaction? That's the most important part. How much money do you want to make profit? Once you know that number, you come up with the ARV. What is the after repair value of that property? Once you come up with ARV, you have to subtract these different things. Holding cost, your selling closing cost, your buying closing cost, and your rehab. So those 4 things are the critical ones: holding cost, selling closing cost, buying closing cost, and your rehab. And as well, the last thing will be whatever profit you want to make, right? So you come up with the RV, you come up with your holding cost, which is important. And these numbers are critical. Some investors don't account for holding costs, or they won't account for the closing cost when you're going to sell the property. So there is closing costs for when you buy the property, there's closing costs when you sell the property, and as well there's holding costs, which means whenever you have the property, what are you paying monthly to own that property, and as well your rehab. Every number is critical, so you have to be really good and know how to come up with a number. So once you come up with that, you know your ARV, you subtract your holding costs, you subtract your closing costs, you subtract your rehab, you subtract what you want to make profit, and whatever number is left, that is the purchase price that you have to be at for it to make sense on that property. Don't be afraid to not say no to a property. If you look at the property and it's listed for 300,000, or they're selling it for 300,000, and you make your numbers and you're like, well, I got to be at 250. Put an offer at 250. And if it doesn't make sense, do not move forward. That's critical. So that's how you know what price you want to be at. And again, remember, you make your money on the purchase, not the sell. So do not overlook anything here. Take your time. Be very, very conservative with your numbers, and don't be afraid to pass on a deal.